Logan Pierce was 38 years old, a financial analyst in downtown Charlotte, known for his methodical routines and calm demeanor. Every morning, he would brew his coffee in his marble kitchen, the aroma blending with the faint scent of his custom leather office chair from the previous day's work. He meticulously reviewed spreadsheets, sipped espresso from his favorite ceramic cup, and glanced at the black SUV parked neatly in the driveway, a quiet testament to the life he had built with precision. Logan's days were predictable: a workout at 6:30 a.m. A 7:15 a.m. conference call with clients, and evenings spent grading reports in the soft glow of his penthouse lighting while jazz played faintly in the background. Life had a steady rhythm, a gentle hum of normalcy that he appreciated, until the envelope arrived. Something felt wrong. He had been opening mail for years, yet this one, cream-colored with embossed gold lettering, carried an energy that made him pause mid-step. Then he saw it. A handwritten note addressed to him, delicate yet commanding, its contents immediately sending a chill down his spine. "Hello everyone, before we begin today's story, make sure to stick around because what happened next will leave you stunned," he whispered to himself, the weight of betrayal settling like a stone in his chest. The note detailed Alyssa Carter, his ex-fiancée, calling him her poor ex, inviting him to her wedding as if to showcase his supposed failure to a room full of family and friends, completely unaware that Logan had quietly amassed a fortune and influence she could never have anticipated. Logan's heart rate remained steady, his mind methodically cataloging every word, every implied humiliation. He observed the luxurious details described, the cascading floral arrangements, the gleaming crystal wine glasses, the polished oak floors reflecting sunlight that streamed through tall windows, each image carefully noted and filed for later analysis. He moved with deliberate calm, pacing his penthouse as he started to piece together the context, imagining Alyssa's smug smile and the community gathered to witness her perceived triumph. Something about the timing felt orchestrated, yet Logan restrained any outward reaction, keeping his emotions in check. He began to collect data mentally, noting who might be present, potential allies, and the sequence of events she had planned, committing each detail to memory with the precision that had made him successful in both life and work. Outside, the city pulsed quietly, the hum of distant traffic blending with the faint scent of freshly cut grass from a nearby lawn. The gentle clinking of cutlery from a neighboring penthouse, the soft flutter of curtains in the early afternoon breeze, and the subtle whiff of expensive perfume that had lingered from Alyssa's previous visit all combined into a cinematic tapestry of sensory cues. Many cliffhangers threaded through his observations. He had no idea what was coming. Everything changed after that moment, then he saw it. Logan visualized the black SUV pulling up at the venue, the whispered conversations among guests, the quiet judgment in their eyes, and the inconspicuous placement of champagne flutes and polished silverware, all painting a scene of social expectation he was about to upend. He paused, letting the suspense settle, feeling the subtle tension in the air, yet maintaining an exterior calm, the kind that made him almost invisible in a room even as he absorbed every nuance. The morning sun slanted through the penthouse blinds, highlighting the marble countertops and casting soft shadows across the room, the scent of roasted coffee beans mingling with a trace of polished wood. Logan's mind raced beneath the surface of serenity, planning his next moves, cataloging luxury cues and micro-expressions, readying the emotional landscape for the inevitable confrontation. The hum of his refrigerator, the faint buzz of traffic, and the muted echo of distant voices in neighboring offices created an immersive backdrop, a cinematic stage upon which his silent observation played out. Every detail mattered, every subtle signal recorded. He walked past his desk, touched the smooth surface of a wine glass, and imagined the narrative Alyssa was crafting, completely unaware of his own hidden wealth and influence. As he stood there, fingers lightly grazing the polished marble, the words of the note replayed in his mind, each syllable a spark igniting the narrative of reversal and revenge. The suspense had built enough that even the soft tick of a wall clock seemed amplified. Logan exhaled slowly, letting the tension steep without revealing any sign of it. Something felt wrong, he thought again, mentally noting the angle of the sunlight on the crystal glasses, the placement of decorative vases, the faintest hint of Alyssa's signature perfume in the air, and the subtle vibration of the black SUV outside. He began the first step of his mental investigation, cataloging everything, maintaining composure, knowing that this moment, seemingly small, would set the stage for an unforgettable reversal. Logan Pierce moved through his morning with the same quiet precision that had defined his life for the past decade. He brewed a fresh pot of coffee, its aroma mingling with the faint scent of polished marble and warm leather from his study chair. The city outside was waking slowly, sunlight bouncing off the glass facades of neighboring skyscrapers, the soft hum of early traffic barely audible over the soothing classical music playing in his penthouse. He checked his schedule for the day, noting client calls, financial reports, and minor household tasks, each item meticulously organized in his planner. The hum of the refrigerator blended with the gentle whir of the air conditioner, creating a background rhythm that mirrored the calm, methodical beat of his own mind. Logan paused to glance out the floor-to-ceiling windows at the skyline, the early light catching on the rooftops and casting long shadows across the streets below. Then he noticed a discrepancy in his calendar notifications, a subtle misalignment that did not fit with his usual routine. Something felt off, though he could not immediately place it. He walked to his desk, fingers tracing the smooth surface, and opened his laptop. Emails from clients and colleagues displayed normally, yet his instinct nudged him toward deeper observation. He checked the financial dashboards he had set up, noting patterns, flagging anomalies, logging the timestamps of each update. A subtle change in a recurring payment drew his attention, and Logan's analytical mind engaged fully, mapping out potential causes and correlations without a hint of panic. Outside, the hum of city life continued, taxis passing, early commuters in crisp suits and business attire making their way down the streets, the distant bark of a dog punctuating the morning stillness. Logan's apartment smelled faintly of freshly brewed coffee and polished wood, and he noted the reflection of sunlight on the marble countertops and the subtle glint of a crystal decanter on the dining table. Each sensory detail, from the soft clatter of his pen on paper to the warmth of sunlight through the blinds, fed into his awareness, reinforcing his methodical approach to any anomaly. He poured a cup of coffee, savoring the smooth bitterness, and took a slow sip, his eyes scanning the documents on the desk, his mind running through calculations, contingencies, and possible explanations. The discrepancy persisted, small but significant enough to draw his full attention. Logan's thoughts were precise, cataloging possibilities, imagining scenarios, and observing without judgment, his body remaining calm even as his mind raced to piece together the implications. The morning breeze drifted through the slightly ajar window, carrying the scent of flowering trees from the terrace below and the faint smell of asphalt warmed by the sun. The black SUV he had parked overnight reflected the light off its sleek surface, a quiet reminder of his disciplined life, his hidden resources, and the layers of preparation that had quietly shaped his world. Many cliffhangers threaded through his observations, something did not add up, he could feel the tension in the air, subtle yet palpable, every detail mattered, even the ones that seemed insignificant. Logan moved slowly, deliberately, noting the placement of objects, the angle of sunlight on reflective surfaces, the hum of electronics, and the subtle cues in the environment that could reveal more. Each observation layered onto the next, building a rich, cinematic tableau of suspense as he prepared to uncover the truth. The quiet of the apartment, punctuated by occasional distant city noises and the soft ticking of the wall clock, amplified the gravity of the moment. He catalogued each sensory detail, each hint of irregularity, creating a mental map of the environment that could later serve as evidence, insight, and guidance. The sunlight shifted across the polished floors, the aroma of coffee lingered, and the distant sound of a neighbor opening a window created a subtle backdrop to Logan's meticulous investigation. Everything depended on the smallest details, he reminded himself, the thought anchoring his focus. He remained composed, measured, absorbing information and preparing for whatever revelation might follow, each passing second heightening the suspense, each micro-observation adding a layer to the unfolding drama, and though the city outside moved with unthinking energy, Logan's mind worked quietly, systematically, ready to respond only when he had the full picture. Logan Pierce sensed a shift in the air as he moved through his apartment, the usual rhythm of his morning now tinged with unease. The sunlight filtered through the wide windows, highlighting the subtle imperfections in the polished marble countertops, the soft gleam of crystal glassware, and the carefully arranged papers on his desk. He paused to sip his coffee, noting the way the light caught on the silver rim of his cup, the faint aroma of roasted beans mingling with the lingering scent of leather from his study chair. Something in the way the morning unfolded felt orchestrated, a series of minor anomalies that collectively hinted at a larger pattern. Logan's eyes scanned the room again, taking in the placement of decorative objects, the glint of a pen left at an angle on the planner, the slight hum of the air conditioning unit that seemed almost louder than usual. He ran his fingers over the smooth surface of his desk, each motion deliberate, his mind tracing a careful map of details and observations. Outside, the city moved in its normal cadence, the faint rush of traffic, the distant murmur of conversations, the occasional bird call creating a backdrop that contrasted with the heightened alertness he felt. He noticed the way the sunlight reflected off the black SUV parked in the driveway, a subtle reminder of precision and control that permeated his life. Many cliffhangers threaded through his thoughts, something was out of place, he could sense a story unfolding that had not yet revealed itself. Logan opened his laptop again, reviewing financial statements, schedules, and notifications, each entry seeming correct on the surface yet carrying a tension beneath. He catalogued inconsistencies, minor discrepancies in recurring transactions, subtle gaps in dates and times that suggested hidden activity. The meticulous notes he had taken over the years allowed him to see patterns others would have missed, and he began forming a mental web connecting these anomalies, the nodes of information glowing in his mind like points of light in a vast constellation. The hum of electronics, the faint click of his pen against the desk, the soft creak of his leather chair settling under his weight, all these ordinary sounds became markers in his growing map of awareness. Logan walked toward the windows, hands in his pockets, letting the cityscape before him settle into his consciousness, the scent of freshly cut grass from a neighbor's yard mixing with the faint perfume of lilies placed on his marble countertop the night before. He visualized the flow of people in the apartment building, the movement of traffic below, even the rhythm of distant footsteps in adjacent corridors, each motion catalogued without judgment, a data point in the unfolding narrative. Everything could change in an instant, he thought, the tension rising like a swell in music barely audible yet undeniable. He noted the subtle angles of light, the reflection of the chrome door handle on the black SUV, the way the marble floor caught the sun's edge, all forming a cinematic tableau that heightened his awareness. Logan's mind was calm but alert, each observation meticulously filed for reference, each micro detail potentially pivotal. The early morning sounds, from the soft hum of a distant heater to the quiet whistle of wind through a slightly ajar window, created a sensory layering that both grounded him and amplified the suspense. He took another measured sip of coffee, fingers lingering on the cup's rim, eyes scanning the documents before him, calculating, cataloging, preparing for the next steps. Many cliffhangers continued to weave through his consciousness, he could not yet see the whole picture. The story was just beginning to unfold. Logan moved deliberately around the penthouse, touching polished surfaces, noticing the subtle play of shadows across walls and floors, each observation anchoring him in reality while allowing his mind to explore every possible variation of what might come next. The soft glow of sunlight through the blinds, the faint scent of espresso, the quiet weight of the leather-bound planner on the desk, all contributed to an immersive cinematic environment, a stage upon which Logan silently gathered his knowledge, poised and ready, as the narrative of suspense and revelation quietly escalated around him. The morning light had shifted slightly, casting long streaks across the polished floors and marble countertops, highlighting every subtle imperfection, every glint of chrome and crystal in Logan Pierce's meticulously arranged penthouse. He noticed the soft reflection on the black SUV parked outside, the way the sun hit its hood just so, revealing a mirror-like shine that contrasted sharply with the muted gray streets below. Logan's eyes swept across the room, lingering on the arranged papers, the laptop humming quietly on the desk, and the delicate crystal decanter catching sunlight in a way that seemed almost deliberate. Then, without warning, the digital notification on his tablet vibrated against the smooth surface of the marble, displaying a sequence of messages that immediately drew his full attention. Something felt off. The messages were subtle, each word carefully chosen, implying actions and assumptions he had not anticipated. Logan's gaze narrowed, mind engaging fully in analytical mode, cataloging every sentence, every timing, every possible implication without betraying a hint of emotion. He traced each name mentioned, noting connections, potential witnesses, and the hierarchy of influence hidden within the communication. Many cliffhangers punctuated his observations. He was beginning to understand the full picture. The implications were far-reaching, more than he had first imagined. Logan moved deliberately to the floor-to-ceiling windows, fingers resting lightly on the smooth glass, feeling the vibration of distant traffic, the low hum of early morning activity from the city streets below. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee lingered in the air, mingling with the faint scent of polished wood and leather, grounding him as he processed each detail. The subtle flicker of sunlight across the crystal glasses on the dining table, the muted reflection on the marble surfaces, even the soft shadows of the blinds played into the mental map Logan was constructing, providing cues and reference points for potential observation during the unfolding day. He opened the email linked to the messages, scrolling carefully, noting anomalies in timing, tone, and specificity, all of which suggested premeditated intent that had previously gone unnoticed. Logan's breathing remained steady, movements precise and unhurried, each step measured as if rehearsed, his mind recording data while his body conveyed calm. Outside, a distant siren, the faint chatter of pedestrians, the soft rustle of leaves in the morning breeze, all combined into a symphony of normalcy, a stark contrast to the undercurrent of tension growing in his analysis. He took a deliberate sip of espresso, eyes scanning the room again, noting the angles of light, the placement of luxury items like the crystal wine glasses, the polished silver cutlery, and the gleaming countertops, all markers in the mental tableau he was constructing. Many cliffhangers continued to surface, every observation mattered. He was cataloging more than what was visible. Logan began organizing his thoughts, creating a hierarchy of information, potential scenarios, and contingency plans, each layered with precision and foresight. The hum of his refrigerator, the distant clatter from an upstairs apartment, and the gentle ticking of the wall clock reinforced the passage of time, each second measured and accounted for. Logan's focus was unbroken, his attention to detail absolute. He observed with the patience of a chess master planning several moves ahead, anticipating reactions, measuring probabilities, and preparing the framework for his calculated response. The soft glow of morning sunlight, the faint aroma of coffee, and the careful alignment of every object in his penthouse combined into a cinematic canvas, immersing him in an environment of suspense and strategic foresight. Logan remained poised, meticulous, and composed, cataloging, analyzing, and preparing for the inevitable chain of events that would unfold, each sensory cue, each shadow, each reflection contributing to the orchestration of his silent, deliberate strategy. Logan Pierce leaned back slightly in his chair, eyes scanning the expansive view of the city from his penthouse, the early morning light casting golden streaks across the polished marble floors and glinting off the crystal decanter on the dining table. He had begun to notice small inconsistencies in the schedule and communications he had received over the past few days, subtle shifts that most people would overlook but that to him signaled patterns worth tracking. His laptop glowed softly, highlighting rows of financial data, calendar alerts, and past correspondence that he examined with meticulous precision. He catalogued each anomaly, every unusual timestamp, each minor discrepancy in phrasing, constructing a mental map of potential scenarios that could unfold later in the day. The soft hum of the air conditioning, the distant traffic, and the faint clink of a spoon against his espresso cup created a rhythmic backdrop that contrasted with the heightened attention he was paying to every detail. He moved deliberately through the penthouse, hands lightly brushing the smooth surfaces of the countertops, noting reflections, shadows, and the subtle alignment of objects as if each held a clue to the larger narrative forming around him. Many cliffhangers threaded through his thoughts, something had shifted in ways he could not yet fully measure. He was beginning to see the edges of a hidden story, every detail could change the outcome. Logan noted the subtle light reflecting off the black SUV parked below, the way the morning sun illuminated the edges of the glass panels, and the faint scent of polished wood and coffee blending together, all forming an immersive sensory map of the environment. He revisited the digital notifications, scanning emails and messages, mentally linking names, locations, and sequences, creating a web of information that allowed him to predict potential developments. The soft ticking of a clock, the hum of distant elevators, and the low murmur of early commuters below provided a soundtrack to his methodical investigation, each sound a reference point for timing and sequence. Logan poured himself another cup of espresso, savoring the rich aroma, his mind remaining calm but alert, cataloging each observation and building layers of awareness that would inform his next moves. He noted the reflections on the marble floor, the polished surfaces of his kitchen appliances, the precise angle of sunlight on the dining chairs, and the faint aroma of expensive candles that had been burning since the previous evening, all contributing to his awareness of context and detail. Many cliffhangers continued to surface naturally in his mind. The next step could reveal everything. He had only just begun to understand the scope. Logan's fingers tapped lightly on the laptop keys, cross-referencing previous entries with real-time data, maintaining a poised exterior while methodically constructing a plan of observation. The ambient light shifted subtly, creating long shadows that danced across the room, the faint scent of espresso still lingering, and the distant sound of a delivery truck echoing from the street below adding texture to the environment. He catalogued the reflections in glassware, the subtle gleam on polished metals, and the precise alignment of documents, understanding that even these small cues might be critical. Logan's composure remained unbroken as he built a comprehensive mental model of the unfolding scenario, each observation, reflection, and sensory detail integrated seamlessly, heightening the cinematic suspense and anticipation for what was about to occur. The faint click of a pen, the soft hum of electronics, and the gentle sway of light across surfaces contributed to a meticulously layered environment, a stage on which Logan silently prepared for the revealing moments ahead. He remained methodical, observing, recording, and mentally triangulating every piece of information, each microdetail adding to the suspense and laying the foundation for the revelations and strategies that would follow. Logan Pierce moved with deliberate purpose toward the corner office, a private space he had designed with both function and subtle elegance in mind. The sunlight filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting geometric patterns across the polished hardwood floors, the faint reflection of the skyline dancing across his marble countertops. He opened a discreet cabinet to retrieve documents, contracts, and personal files he had accumulated over the years, each item placed in precise order, reflecting his meticulous attention to detail. As he spread the documents across the sleek glass desk, Logan's mind raced through possible scenarios, mentally connecting each data point to potential outcomes. Many cliffhangers threaded his thoughts. He could see the lines of influence forming clearly now. Everything depended on timing, on precision, on patience. He adjusted the soft lighting in the room, the warm glow highlighting the contours of the documents, the crystal paperweight, and the subtle textures of his leather-bound planner, creating a cinematic tableau that emphasized both his preparation and the stakes involved. Outside, the hum of early city life contrasted with the quiet intensity of his actions, distant traffic mingling with the occasional bird call and the low vibration of the black SUV in the driveway. Logan catalogued each detail of his environment, the angle of sunlight on reflective surfaces, the scent of freshly brewed coffee mingling with polished wood, the soft tick of the wall clock, all contributing to a precise understanding of context and potential observation points. He began activating a series of hidden resources, quietly reaching out to trusted colleagues and allies without creating any outward disturbance, each action intentional and measured. The hum of his laptop, the faint clatter of a pen, and the soft echo of distant activity created an immersive sensory landscape, a backdrop to Logan's strategic activation. Many cliffhangers continued to emerge naturally. The plan was now in motion. He had not yet revealed a single move. Logan reviewed confidential documents, verified financial transfers, and cross-referenced dates and events, each step reinforcing the foundation for the controlled reveal that would come later. The reflective surfaces, crystal decanter, and polished metal accents in the office added subtle visual cues that heightened the cinematic effect, while the gentle scent of coffee and the soft glow of natural light maintained a grounded, realistic atmosphere. Logan's composure remained flawless, his attention to detail absolute, cataloging, analyzing, and integrating information from every available source. The black SUV outside, the patterned marble floors, the precise alignment of his personal items, and the soft hum of electronics created a layered environment in which every observation mattered, every minor detail contributing to the suspense and strategy of the unfolding plan. He paused to breathe, hands lightly resting on the smooth surface of the desk, noting the shifting shadows and the way the light caught the edges of crystal and glass. Each reflection, each angle, each subtle variation in light became part of his mental map, enhancing awareness and readiness. Many cliffhangers threaded through his consciousness, every second brought new potential. He was preparing for a revelation that would change everything. Logan moved systematically, verifying calculations, reviewing contracts, and organizing assets, all while maintaining a calm exterior that betrayed nothing. The ambient sounds, the distant hum of traffic, the faint clatter of an elevator, the soft rustle of leaves from the terrace below, provided context without distraction, reinforcing the immersive cinematic realism of the moment. He was ready, poised, and deliberate, every movement a calculated step in the orchestration of a controlled, high-stakes reveal that would soon transform the narrative. Logan Pierce's plan began to take shape as trusted allies entered the picture, each one arriving with quiet efficiency, their presence adding both reassurance and a layer of strategic advantage. The first was Marcus Weller, a financial advisor with years of experience tracking complex accounts and identifying hidden transfers. He moved with calm precision, setting a laptop on the polished glass desk and opening files that only Logan could interpret fully, the soft hum of the machine blending with the gentle lighting of the penthouse. Many cliffhangers threaded Logan's awareness, each person here was a piece of the puzzle, the timing had to be perfect. The second ally arrived, Claire Donovan, a private legal consultant whose expertise in contract law and high-stakes negotiations provided a crucial dimension to the unfolding strategy. Her heels clicked softly against the hardwood floors, echoing faintly through the spacious apartment, as she laid out documents and highlighted key clauses, the subtle scent of her perfume mingling with the lingering aroma of coffee and polished wood. Logan observed every movement, noting the precision of her gestures, the sequence of her review, and the nuanced cues that would allow him to anticipate next steps. The third, an old friend with connections in social circles and access to event details, provided insight into the wedding venue, guest list, and the likely sequence of ceremonial events. Logan cataloged every suggestion, cross-referenced them with previously observed anomalies, and constructed a mental timeline with meticulous attention to each second. Outside, the city stirred gently, the distant hum of traffic, the faint whir of streetcars, and the occasional bird call layered seamlessly over the muted vibration of the black SUV parked in the driveway. Logan sipped espresso slowly, eyes scanning reflective surfaces, the sunlight catching the edges of crystal glassware, polished silver, and the marble floor, each detail reinforcing his situational awareness. Many cliffhangers continued, he was closer to uncovering the truth than they suspected, every movement mattered. Logan directed the allies with quiet authority, reviewing documents, confirming schedules, and assigning roles without raising his voice, his composure unbroken even as the tension in the room grew palpable. The soft rustle of papers, the gentle click of keys, and the faint scent of polished leather and expensive stationery created a cinematic ambience that emphasized the precision of their operation. Logan's eyes flicked from the documents to the panoramic view of the skyline, sunlight streaming across the rooftops, the shadows shifting as the city continued its rhythmic pulse below. Each ally contributed a layer of expertise, reinforcing the strategy Logan had been silently constructing for days, their collective knowledge intersecting with his meticulous observations and insights. Many cliffhangers threaded through every exchange, the smallest detail could change everything, he had not yet revealed the full extent of what he knew. Logan moved deliberately, checking the alignment of documents, the sequencing of financial data, and the projected movement of guests at the venue, all while maintaining the serene exterior that belied the intensity of the preparation. The ambient light highlighted the textures of marble, wood, and glass, the faint scent of coffee and polished surfaces reinforcing the immersive environment, every sensory cue catalogued in Logan's mind for future reference. He observed his allies, noting micro-expressions, subtle shifts in posture, and the cadence of speech, all contributing to a mental map that extended beyond the walls of the penthouse to the wedding venue itself. Many cliffhangers persisted, the plan was activating in real time, every piece was in motion, yet unseen by those outside this room. Logan remained poised, composed, and utterly focused, each observation, instruction, and interaction weaving together a tapestry of preparation that would ensure the precision and impact of the unfolding revelation, the cinematic suspense building steadily toward the moment when strategy would intersect with execution. Logan Pierce waited in the quiet of his penthouse, observing the patterns he had meticulously charted, noting the sequence of events he had anticipated for the day. The soft glow of the morning sun filtered through the wide windows, casting long, sharp shadows across the marble countertops, the polished hardwood floors, and the gleaming crystal glasses arranged with precise symmetry. Each detail, from the reflection of sunlight on the silver trim of his desk lamp to the subtle alignment of paperwork on the glass table, contributed to the mental map he was creating of the unfolding situation. Many cliffhangers threaded through his consciousness. The moment was closer than it appeared. Every detail had been catalogued, yet something might still surprise him. Logan's allies moved quietly around the room, confirming final checks on documents, schedules, and potential scenarios without drawing attention, their presence reinforcing the depth of preparation and the breadth of resources quietly at his disposal. Outside, the city hummed with early morning activity, cars moved in rhythmic patterns, distant footsteps echoed from neighboring buildings, and the occasional bird call punctuated the calm. The black SUV sat poised in the driveway, reflecting light off its sleek exterior, a subtle symbol of readiness and precision. Logan reviewed every nuance of the information he had gathered, cross-referencing communications, schedules, and environmental cues, mapping the sequence of events against potential points of observation and influence. The soft click of keys, the low hum of a laptop, and the gentle swish of papers being organized reinforced a cinematic atmosphere, where each movement, each sound, and each reflection contributed to the immersive sensory landscape. Many cliffhangers punctuated the preparation. The timing had to be exact. He had not yet revealed any indication of what he knew. Logan sipped coffee deliberately, the aroma mingling with the faint scent of polished wood and leather, grounding him even as the tension built beneath the calm exterior. He traced the trajectory of light across the room, observing reflections in the glass panels, the polished metal of accessories, and the subtle gleam of marble edges, each visual cue catalogued for later use in gauging reactions and timing his actions. Logan's mind calculated and anticipated, projecting the flow of guests, the rhythm of movement within the venue, and the precise moments when critical elements would converge. The sound of distant traffic, the hum of early elevators, and the faint rustle of leaves outside added texture to the scene without distracting from his focus, enhancing the cinematic quality of the moment. He moved deliberately through the penthouse, checking alignments, adjusting minor details, confirming the sequence of events and signals with his allies, maintaining composure and control. Many cliffhangers continued. He could feel the crescendo approaching. Every prepared element was now in motion, waiting for the precise moment of reveal. The sunlight shifted across the polished surfaces, accentuating textures, reflections, and contours that Logan had already integrated into his mental map. Every observation, every sound, every angle of light contributed to the immersive environment, heightening suspense and focus. Logan remained poised, each breath measured, each movement intentional, fully engaged in the orchestration of the plan, silently monitoring all variables, and ensuring that every step was aligned with the precise timing and effect that would define the moments to come. The sunlight was stronger now, casting sharp lines across the polished marble floors of Logan Pierce's penthouse, highlighting the subtle reflections of crystal glasses and polished metal fixtures that he had so carefully arranged. He stood near the windows, observing the city below, the distant hum of traffic mixing with the faint sounds of early conversations from neighboring terraces. Every detail he had catalogued in the previous hours now converged in his mind as a precise sequence of awareness, a map of what was about to unfold. Many cliffhangers threaded his focus. The moment was imminent, every second counted. Logan adjusted the lighting subtly, the soft glow enhancing the gleam of polished surfaces and casting long shadows that accentuated depth and texture throughout the room. He checked the alignment of documents and devices on his desk, confirming that everything was in order, then walked to the terrace to observe the black SUV waiting below, the sleek vehicle a silent promise of the arrival that would shift the energy of the day. He breathed slowly, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee lingering in the air, mingling with polished wood and the faint scent of expensive candles, grounding him even as anticipation built. Outside, pedestrians moved with their usual rhythm, cars passed in measured cadence, and birds called from nearby trees, all ordinary sounds framing the extraordinary moment he was about to enact. Logan reviewed his mental notes once more, visualizing each guest, each subtle micro-expression, and every environmental cue he had catalogued in preparation. Many cliffhangers surfaced naturally in his thoughts, he could see the reactions forming even before they happened. Nothing could proceed by accident now. The black SUV door opened silently, and Logan stepped forward, every movement deliberate, exuding calm control even as the cinematic tension thickened. The city light glinted off his suit, polished shoes reflecting the marble as he descended, every sensory detail noted, the slight echo of his footsteps on the stone floor, the subtle hum of the SUV engine, the delicate fragrance of his cologne mingling with the morning air. Many cliffhangers punctuated the moment, everyone inside would feel the change before they knew what had shifted. He had orchestrated every detail to this exact point. Logan moved with a measured pace, opening the SUV door with precision, the leather interior pristine, the faint scent of polished surfaces and subtle luxury cues reinforcing his presence. He seated himself, straightened his posture, and took one final breath before the car began to move toward the venue, every turn of the wheels, every glint of sunlight on chrome and glass noted in his mind. Many cliffhangers layered the narrative, the sequence he had prepared was unfolding perfectly, every movement, every reflection, every sound was a prelude to revelation. Logan observed the skyline passing by, the faint hum of distant activity, the polished streets, and the reflective windows of other buildings forming a cinematic backdrop for what was coming. The anticipation was meticulous, controlled, immersive, a layering of sensory awareness and strategy converging into the precise moment when presence would become revelation. He reviewed once more in his mind the observations of his allies, the alignments of time, the subtle reflections, and the cues that would allow him to gauge reactions instantly. Many cliffhangers persisted, he was ready, yet the outcome depended on perfect timing, the world would shift in the next few moments. Logan's hands rested lightly on the armrests, eyes forward, breathing steady, fully immersed in the orchestration of his plan, the cinematic tableau around him poised to become the stage for the carefully calculated impact of his entrance, the culmination of preparation, observation, and hidden competence ready to reveal itself to everyone awaiting him at the venue. The moment had arrived, and the venue seemed frozen in anticipation. Guests whispered among themselves, their attention drawn to the subtle shifts Logan Pierce had anticipated. Alyssa Carter moved through the room with an air of confidence, her smile measured, believing that Logan's absence confirmed her victory, that she had engineered a flawless impression of superiority. Many cliffhangers threaded Logan's perception, they had no idea what was coming, every gesture, every glance would be tested. Logan stepped out of the sleek black SUV, his movements calm, deliberate, and imbued with quiet authority. The polished leather of the car door reflected the sunlight, the gleam of chrome and glass catching the eye without announcement. He straightened his jacket, checked the alignment of his tie, and allowed his gaze to sweep across the gathering, noting each expression, each arrangement, each subtle cue that would inform the impact of his presence. The air smelled faintly of cut flowers, the soft aroma mingling with the distant hint of freshly polished wood and the lingering scent of candles from prior decor, creating a sensory tableau that Logan catalogued methodically. Many cliffhangers heightened the suspense, every second mattered now, the reaction would come in a heartbeat. He moved toward the entrance, each step echoing softly against the marble floor, the polished surface catching the light and adding subtle cinematic reflections to the scene. Alyssa paused mid-gesture, her attention drawn instinctively to the entrance, a micro-expression of curiosity passing over her face before she adjusted her posture, a false sense of confidence masking the uncertainty beginning to form. Logan's eyes tracked every movement, every shift in weight, every minor flicker of emotion. He remained composed, serene, absorbing the reactions of the crowd, noting how social cues and body language intersected with his anticipation. Many cliffhangers punctuated his observations, the smallest detail could trigger the largest shift, he was ready for every variable. The sunlight streamed through expansive windows, casting long shadows across the polished floors, glinting off crystal wine glasses and silverware arranged precisely on tables, each element a cue Logan had factored into his mental map. He paused, allowed the anticipation to swell naturally, letting the environment itself convey drama, his presence amplifying the tension without a single word. Guests' murmurs rose slightly, the sound bouncing subtly off the walls, the clink of glasses accentuating the rhythm of expectation. Logan noted how light reflected off the polished surfaces of decorative elements, the subtle angles of floral arrangements, and the placement of personal items left intentionally to heighten visual impact. Many cliffhangers threaded through the scene. He had orchestrated this sequence meticulously. No one would guess what came next. Logan's breath remained steady, his posture firm, and his gaze unwavering. Every detail of the environment, the shine of marble, the warm glow of chandeliers, the muted hum of distant city traffic, was absorbed into his awareness, providing both a cinematic backdrop and a strategic map for measuring reactions. He moved deliberately along the perimeter, aligning his steps with the natural flow of the room, subtly adjusting timing, ensuring that his presence would intersect with the peak of attention. Many cliffhangers continued, the perception of control was entirely his to manipulate, every eye would follow the calculated movements he had planned. Logan's hands rested lightly at his sides, eyes scanning, absorbing, and anticipating, each micro-expression and subtle shift recorded in real time, reinforcing the perfect timing and composure that would define the moment when the balance of perception shifted decisively in his favor, the tension in the room climbing steadily toward the carefully constructed climax of observation and silent authority. Logan Pierce observed the room with unwavering focus as the first signs of subtle disruption began to appear among the guests. Conversations faltered mid-sentence, eyes flickered toward the entrance, and the carefully constructed rhythm of the event wavered ever so slightly. The soft clinking of glassware, the gentle rustle of fabric as servers moved between tables, and the faint hum of conversation formed a backdrop to a scene that was about to shift dramatically. Many cliffhangers threaded his perception, the moment had arrived. Every reaction would reveal more than words could convey. Logan's allies moved discreetly, confirming the alignment of timing and observation points, each action silent yet integral to the precision of the unfolding plan. The sunlight streamed through large windows, catching the edges of polished surfaces, the reflective chrome of utensils, and the crystal wine glasses arranged on tables with deliberate symmetry. Logan noted how light played across these surfaces, how the shadows fell, and how each reflection could enhance the perception of his controlled presence. Many cliffhangers surfaced, every eye in the room was now oriented, whether they knew it or not, the smallest movement could alter the entire narrative. Logan's mind catalogued micro-expressions, subtle shifts in posture, and minor gestures, building a mental map of influence, social dynamics, and the timing required for the next steps. The faint scent of fresh flowers mixed with polished wood and lingering hints of fine perfume, creating an immersive atmosphere that accentuated both luxury and subtle tension. Logan moved deliberately to a vantage point, positioning himself to observe the reactions without drawing attention, noting the slight stiffening of Alyssa Carter's posture, the barely perceptible widening of her eyes, and the quickening pace of whispered conversations. Many cliffhangers threaded through his awareness, the calculated reveal was amplifying itself, every observation now carried weight. The polished marble floors reflected the light of chandeliers above, creating long, elegant shadows that interplayed with the subtle movements of guests, each detail absorbed into Logan's analysis. He adjusted his stance, allowing the ambient sound, the faint hum of distant traffic, the soft whisper of conversations, the occasional clink of silverware, to frame the sensory tableau of suspense. Logan noted the flow of people, the angle of sunlight on reflective surfaces, the gleam of glass and metal, and the faint aroma of luxury candles, each element reinforcing his preparedness and awareness. Many cliffhangers persisted, he had orchestrated every detail, yet the moment demanded stillness and precision. The narrative was unfolding exactly as he had anticipated, yet surprises could emerge in microseconds. Logan's hands rested lightly at his sides, eyes scanning, cataloging every reaction, every subtle shift in energy, every expression that could indicate perception or misunderstanding. The soft reflection on the black SUV outside, glimpsed through the windows, and the sun glinting off polished surfaces of the venue, created a cinematic layer that heightened suspense and anticipation. He remained composed, each breath measured, posture controlled, integrating the sensory cues into a comprehensive strategy that allowed him to anticipate social reactions, evaluate timing, and maintain absolute authority over the moment. Many cliffhangers threaded through every observation, every eye and gesture was a data point. The impact of his presence was building steadily, unseen but undeniable. Logan moved with silent purpose, absorbing each detail, each visual cue, each whisper and glance, creating an immersive and precise awareness that would guide the next critical phase of observation, analysis, and controlled revelation. The room seemed to tilt subtly under the weight of realization as Alyssa Carter's composed facade began to crack, her eyes widening imperceptibly at the precise timing of Logan Pierce's entrance and the subtle signals orchestrated to draw attention to him. Many cliffhangers threaded through the moment. She had misjudged the situation entirely, everything she assumed was about to unravel. Logan observed quietly, cataloging every micro-expression, every flicker of hesitation, every shift in posture, integrating these data points into the mental map he had been constructing for days. The sunlight streamed through the tall windows, illuminating the polished marble floors, the reflective surfaces of crystal glassware, and the gleam of silver cutlery, all serving as silent witnesses to the unfolding drama. Logan's presence was deliberate, serene, yet impossible to ignore, each guest's attention subtly aligned with him, drawn by both the visual cues of luxury and the natural magnetism of quiet authority. The soft hum of conversations faltered as the awareness of his controlled arrival propagated, murmurs rippling through the crowd like a gentle wave, punctuated by the faint clink of glass and the distant echo of footsteps on polished stone. Many cliffhangers surfaced again, the balance had shifted before any word was spoken. Perceptions were being rewritten in real time. Logan's allies remained discreet yet vigilant, providing silent confirmation that each segment of the plan was executed flawlessly, the sequence of events unfolding exactly as envisioned. The faint scent of polished wood, mixed with delicate floral arrangements, the subtle aroma of fresh coffee and lingering hints of luxury perfume, created a layered sensory experience that heightened the impact of every observation, every glance, every subtle reaction. Logan's eyes captured the tableau, the way light reflected off surfaces, the gentle angles of shadow, and the precise positioning of objects and people, each detail enhancing the emotional resonance of the moment. Many cliffhangers threaded his analysis. She could not hide her astonishment, every carefully constructed assumption she held was dissolving. The polished floors reflected sunlight in a manner that accentuated movement, adding a cinematic layer to the scene, while the subdued ambient sounds of city life outside provided a contrast that amplified the intensity of the indoor environment. Logan remained motionless but fully aware, absorbing and processing each subtle cue with surgical precision, his calm presence contrasting with the undercurrent of realization spreading through Alyssa Carter's demeanor. Each micro-expression, an intake of breath, a slight stiffening of shoulders, the narrowing of eyes, was noted and filed mentally, creating a record of the exact moment when perception began to shift. Many cliffhangers continued, the understanding was dawning on her, slowly, irrevocably. Every element of surprise had converged perfectly. The sunlight slanted across the room, highlighting the contours of marble, glass, and crystal, reflecting the luxury and precision Logan had integrated into his environment to reinforce both his presence and the psychological impact of the reveal. He moved with subtle grace, hands resting lightly at his sides, eyes surveying the reactions, ensuring every observation was registered, every shift in energy noted. The faint hum of electronics, the soft clinking of glassware, and the subtle murmur of whispers contributed to an immersive cinematic ambience, enhancing the suspense and emotional intensity. Many cliffhangers threaded through the moment. She now realized she had underestimated him completely. Every carefully laid plan of hers had been eclipsed by precision and timing beyond her comprehension. Logan's quiet composure remained absolute, a steady anchor as the realization spread, the emotional collapse unfolding not in drama but in the subtle acknowledgement of miscalculation, the crescendo of awareness creating a cinematic climax of recognition, power, and silent dominance. Logan Pierce stepped back slightly, allowing the ambient energy of the venue to settle as the final layers of suspense resolved into a quiet, commanding presence. The sunlight shifted through the windows, reflecting off the polished marble floors and crystal glassware, casting subtle, dynamic patterns that played across the faces of the assembled guests. The soft hum of conversations returned, punctuated by the gentle clink of glasses and the muted footsteps of servers, yet an unmistakable tension lingered in the air, a residue of the carefully orchestrated reveal. Many cliffhangers threaded his awareness. The balance had irrevocably shifted, the perception of control now rested entirely in his hands. Logan allowed himself a measured breath, observing Alyssa Carter's subtle expressions as they transformed from confidence to disbelief, the realization of miscalculation etched across her features. He noted the alignment of body language, the slight widening of eyes, the minute tightening of lips, and the micro-movements that betrayed recognition and astonishment, cataloging each as part of the unfolding tableau. The polished surfaces, reflective chrome, and gleaming crystal captured light and shadow, amplifying the visual impact of his presence without the need for a word or gesture. Logan's allies maintained discreet positions, their subtle confirmations reinforcing the precision and effectiveness of the carefully constructed strategy. Many cliffhangers continued, every eye now registered the truth, slowly, inevitably, the subtle dominance he wielded was unquestionable. Logan moved through the room with deliberate calm, hands resting lightly at his sides, eyes scanning and registering each shift, each nuance, integrating sensory input from sight, sound, and subtle ambient cues to maintain complete situational awareness. The faint scent of polished wood and lingering flowers, the soft glow of sunlight on marble and glass, the reflective surfaces of tables and decor, and the muted hum of distant traffic combined to create a cinematic, immersive experience that heightened every micro-reaction around him. Many cliffhangers threaded each observation. He could feel the room adjusting to his presence, every detail he had orchestrated now interacted perfectly with reality. Logan's posture remained composed, the serene exterior contrasting with the intensity of attention focused inward on each variable, each social cue, each reflection and shadow that could signal opportunity or risk. He moved subtly, recalibrating his position, observing how light, reflection, and visual alignment enhanced his controlled presence. Guests whispered in hushed tones, eyes tracking him, subtle shifts in posture and focus reflecting the narrative he had silently constructed. Many cliffhangers persisted. He was both observer and arbiter of perception, every glance and gesture contributed to the culmination of strategy and timing. Logan allowed the cinematic environment to reinforce his authority, the polished floors, glinting crystal, reflective metals, and warm sunlight creating a layered visual canvas that amplified the impact of presence and timing. He breathed calmly, shoulders squared, eyes steady, cataloging reactions and sensory input, and integrating all details into the mental map that would guide subsequent movement and decisions. Many cliffhangers threaded seamlessly, the effect was absolute yet invisible to those untrained to notice, every carefully placed element had played its part perfectly. Logan moved with quiet decisiveness, the combination of observation, timing, composure, and environmental awareness establishing an unassailable position, the subtle mastery of the moment leaving a lingering impression of dignity, control, and the quiet victory of precision